welcome you all to the this HeatSmart lunchtime virtual home tour. My name is Lisa Marshall. I'm the program director of HeatSmart Tompkins, and I have with me two special guests today. Our friend and member of our board, Charlie Woodcock, who was an architect who designed his own home on South Hill in Ithaca, and Halco's Matt Dennis, who will be on the camera shortly. And Halco is one of our 4 installer partners here at HeatSmart, and they installed Charlie's air source heat pump system. So I'm going to share my screen. The thing I'm worried about is if people log on and I don't see them in the waiting room with my screen shared. So let me just see if I can, you know what, Matt, I'm gonna make you co-host. Oh, except you're on your phone and you're gonna log in onto your computer, aren't you?
No, I can stay on my phone. I can figure it out.
All right, I'm gonna make you a co-host because I don't see any of our interns on the call. So when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see if there's people in the waiting room. I wonder if I can just let people in automatically. I'm not sure if I can do that. All right, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. And we'll be looking at my slides here. So HeatSmart Tompkins is a community nonprofit. We do education and outreach. We don't sell anything. We don't make any money off of anything you may decide to buy as a result of our outreach efforts. And we now serve Tompkins and Chemung counties. I'm from Chemung County, and the program started in Tompkins County. So we are HeatSmart for Chemung and Tompkins counties. We really like to educate people about energy efficiency measures you can take for your home and emphasize the benefits of those measures, the cost savings, the comfort, and the climate change solutions that that are provided by taking these measures in your own home. So we are one of 14 or so NYSERDA clean heating and cooling communities shown on this slightly out of date map. They'll be updating this soon to show that we cover both Tompkins and Chemung counties. And there are new HeatSmart programs going to be covering neighboring regions. Also, HeatSmart Otsego is now expanded to 5 counties, and it's now called HeatSmart Mohawk Valley. So pretty soon there will be a clean heating and cooling community in every part of the state with a program to help do this kind of outreach. But I love to show this map because at HeatSmart Tompkins, we're very proud to say we were the very first HeatSmart program. Before NYSERDA got involved, we raised our own funds to have a HeatSmart outreach program, and people just thought the idea was so good that it was replicated statewide, and other states such as Massachusetts and other places now have HeatSmart programs based on the model that we pioneered here. So we really are proud of watching this work grow across the state and even across the country. But why do we need such a thing as a HeatSmart program? Why is it important to do this kind of outreach? And that's because of the climate emergency that we're in now, which is a result of the amount of fossil fuel emissions or the greenhouse gas emissions from burning fossil fuels that goes up and up and up every year. And in New York, we produce those greenhouse gas emissions in 3 ways, mostly transportation, on-site combustion, and generating electricity. And on-site combustion, a lot of that is burning fossil fuels in our homes to heat them, also to cook and to heat hot water. So a big chunk of the solutions that we need to meet our climate goals that are now part of our climate law here in New York is tackling the heating solutions in buildings and especially in our homes. 90% of our homes in New York are heated by fossil fuels. So that's what we work here to change at HeatSmart Tompkins. So on the whole, we have several kind of categories of recommendations that we make here. First, we want people to really take a look at their building envelope. That is the air sealing and insulation in your building. And that's because whatever method you're using to heat your building, you're expending energy, and we want to make sure that that heat that you produce stays right inside instead of going right out the windows, through the cracks, through the basement, out the attic. The second thing we recommend is for space heating and also for cooling are heat pumps. There's two main kinds, air source heat pumps and ground source heat pumps. Today we'll take a tour of Charlie's house, which is heated with and cooled with air source heat pumps. And then domestic hot water is also, it's about 20% of the typical home's energy use. And there are wonderful heat pump hot water heaters, as well as if you put in a ground source heating system, or also known as geothermal, there's something called a desuperheater that can be connected to that system and help make your hot water as well. Just going to stop sharing for 1 second and check if there's anybody in the waiting room. Yes, there is. Okay. I'm going to share now again. Back to the slides. Okay. So the HeatSmart program in a nutshell, we want to be your guide. We want to help remove barriers to the adoption of heat pumps. The number one reason people don't install heat pumps is that they don't know about them. And that's not just customers, but also a lot of HVAC companies don't really know anything about heat pumps. So when your heat goes out, they just put in another gas furnace or boiler or another propane boiler. And then you're locked into burning those fossil fuels for another 10, 20, 15, 20 years. So we want to make sure that people know about the heat pump options before that happens, so that when they're ready to replace their existing heating system, they're already looking at heat pumps. So to that end, we connect you with information. We connect you with the incentives, because there's actually quite a lot of financial incentives to help people put in these systems. And we connect you with trusted installer partners that we work with, that we have thoroughly vetted. We know that the design and the installation of the heat pump has to be good, as well as the equipment itself, in order for it to work well for you and last a long time. So that's what we like to help with. So in the time of COVID, we can't have home tours in people's homes like we love to do. Last fall, we had a ton of home tours on the weekends mostly, where friends of HeatSmart invited the public to come and visit them and answer their questions, check out the heating and cooling systems in situ, and just have a pleasant time. And of course, now we can't do that, so we're having these virtual home tours. We also have evening webinars. We have one this Thursday on air source versus ground source, how to decide what's right for you. And our installers, if you enroll with HeatSmart, you're inviting us to send the lead out to one or more of our installer partners. And if they come to your home, they have safety protocols for COVID in place, but also they can do assessments without even coming to your house now. So if you are worried about that, you can just ask them to do a remote assessment. And finally, I'll say we have a lot of information on our website, so please make use of our website. And you can make an appointment to meet privately with me anytime, either by emailing me, or there's an app on our website that sets you up with a 15-minute phone appointment. So air source heat pumps, what's great about them? There's two major kinds. There's centrally ducted air source heat pumps, and there's so-called mini splits. A heat pump is basically a contraption with a refrigerant loop. It's like how your refrigerator runs, but in reverse, so that it takes heat from the outside air. Even on a cold day, there's still heat energy in the air. It takes that heat, puts it through a refrigerant cycle in a outdoor compressor, and then sends that warm air into your house through these heads that are shown in this picture here. This is a schematic of a ductless mini split. Those are the types of air source heat pumps we most often see installed in homes. They are very versatile. You can put just one in if you have just a room that never gets warm enough or that really needs air conditioning, or you can use them for your whole home. And you don't need a distribution system other than these heads. There's also floor mounted units, which I'll show you in a minute. These systems are incredibly efficient. They're 200 to 250% more efficient than a fossil fuel heating system. And one common misconception is that air source heat pumps can't keep your house warm in these cold climates where we live here in New York. And that did actually used to be true, but the technology in air source heat pumps has really progressed, and cold climate heat pumps are guaranteed to operate down to negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit, the ones that are approved by our program, and they will continue to function down to negative 19. Of course, they're the least efficient when the temperatures outside are that cold, but we don't see temperatures that cold very often around here anymore. So they're really quite a good solution. I was in Norway recently, and which is a lot colder than upstate New York, and practically everyone there has a heat pump. This is just a picture of some floor mounted units, which are also available. We see more often the high wall mounted units, but the floor mounted units are pretty great too. And some places people don't have room for the high wall units on their wall, or they just don't like the aesthetic, so they might go for the floor mounted. Just a quick graphic to show you that operating a heat pump is pretty much the absolute cheapest way you can heat your house. This is a comparison for the same size heating load in a house for multiple different technologies, and only heating with wood comes in slightly cheaper than air source or ground source heat pumps of all of the options. These data are from Maine from 2017. The cost of oil is a little bit lower now because of the global pandemic. But the cost of oil fluctuates up and down, as you guys know, if you're still heating with oil. Okay. So without any further ado, I'm going to show a very short video of the home tour of Charlie Woodcock's house. I apologize. It's a very lovely house, and this isn't the best picture. Charlie lives on a steep slope, and I had a hard time getting an angle to take a good picture, but here's the back of Charlie's house with the Mitsubishi Hyperheat heat pumps there. And I'm just gonna quickly show this video.
I'm Charlie Woodcock. I'm on the board for HeatSmart, and I first got involved with the HeatSmart program back in the Phase 1 program, which was 3 programs ago now. And I was asked to also be on the board, which I was very happy and very pleased to be invited to join the board. But I'd actually made the decision to install my heat pump system, and I have the air source heat pumps throughout the house. But I'd actually made the decision to install heat pumps before I was invited to join the board. And the main reason why I wanted to go with the heat pumps was because we wanted to have air conditioning in the house for the summertime. And we had a gas-fired hot water boiler, but we didn't have any air conditioning. And so it was really the need for air conditioning, particularly as the summers have been getting hotter more recently, that really drove us to make a decision to go with heat pumps. We signed up for the maintenance program with the contractor that did the original installation. So they come once a year and they check everything over. They clean the compressors and just kind of make sure everything's working right. So we've had really no issues or problems at all. It was originally built in 1993, and this was actually, this part of the house was an addition to the original one-story house that was here. And so this was built in 1993, and then we ended up rebuilding the first story wing and making it 2 stories. And that was in 2005 when we did that. This smaller unit serves the wood head in the living room, and the bigger unit does the rest of the house, which is basically my wife's art studio, and then upstairs it does 2 bedrooms upstairs, the one bigger unit. And I think the whole system is around 3.5 tons, I think, if I remember correctly. Well, this is the unit that cools and heats the living room and kitchen area. And with this weather, as hot as it's been this week, I tell you, I don't know what we do without this unit. As you can see, it makes it bearable. And I don't even have it set that low, really. I have it set on 75 degrees. It still keeps the temperature at a comfortable point in the downstairs area here. When they were doing the layout for where to locate the heat pumps, there wasn't a lot of wall area in our living room because we have so many windows and artwork on the walls that, and so they decided pretty much had to be over in this area, which is right above our television and our stereo system. So I was a little bit concerned about the air noise from the unit interfering with the sound system and the TV, but it hasn't really been a factor at all. The units are quiet enough that the air, when it's blowing, it blows at a fairly steady, lower rate of sound. So it hasn't been an issue at all for us.
Before I turn you over to Charlie and to Matt Dennis for questions, I just want to let you know that there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's quite a few incentives available to help people defray the cost of installing these kinds of heating systems. So NYSEG, our utility, is offering $1,000 per 10,000 BTU hour heating load size back as a rebate. And this is just so exciting. I mean, when the HeatSmart program started, there were no rebates at all for air source heat pumps. Then they had sort of a small rebate. And now we have this rebate, which is locked in for the next few years. And so typically for a typical house, that might mean you would get $2,500 to $6,000 back from the utility. That goes straight to the installer, but it comes off the price for you. And then there is still this year an Energy Star federal tax credit of $300, which, you know, isn't a lot, but it's something. Hello. And then if you are income qualified, there's additional grants that may be able to be used towards a heat pump depending on your situation. And these are the eligibility for these grants, and the amounts of these grants was greatly expanded this past summer as part of New York State's COVID response. And especially if you are currently heating with anything other than natural gas, and you're thinking about getting heat pumps, and you think you might fall into the 120% of median income, which, to give you an idea, a household size of 4, that would be, you'd have to make less than 138,000, no, 100 and, oh, I've forgotten the amount. Hold on. I think it's $115,138. So if you make less than $115,000 and have 4 people in your household, until the end of the year, you would qualify for something called assisted home performance. So, and that may mean that we can get you some really incredible rebates on heat pumps. So please get in touch if you think that you might qualify, because that's going to disappear at the end of the year. And it's a really particularly amazingly good deal. And also, we have a partnership with the Finger Lakes Climate Fund that offers grants on a case-by-case basis. And And they also administer some special HeatSmart grants for folks. So your installer will help talk you through all of the funds that may be available to you. And you can also make an appointment with me to talk about that more. So that's it for me. The next steps are, if you want to continue on with HeatSmart, are to enroll on our website at heatsmarttompkins.org, or heatsmartchemung.org will also take you there. And when you enroll, that just means you fill out a short form and select which installer partners you want to hear from. I pass those leads on to the installers and they get in touch with you by phone, text, or email, whatever you specify. And it's completely free and there's no obligation to you. They can look at your building envelope, they can look at your heating system, they can look at your water heater, or any or all of those things as part of the HeatSmart program.